I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. It's perfect. What you saw, it was awesome, right? It was like, oh, this makes total sense. It does. Welcome to church, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to see you all here today. Let's go ahead and open our Bibles to Matthew chapter 6, verses 19 through 21, and also verse 24. If you would like to, you can take notes in the weekly updates that you received when you came in, or you can go ahead and go to the YouVersion Bible app. You can find us in the events section. The listen is Northeast Christian Church. Go ahead and go there. And also, we're live on Facebook Live, so if you have your phones out right now, I want to encourage you guys to go to Facebook real quick, share the feed on your page so that your friends and family can see that as well. Proverbs 11:25 says this. It says, a generous person will prosper. Whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. And so we are starting a 2-week series called Generous, which is a series on money that is intended to help us and guide us in how we handle and how we think about money. So this is, yes, a series on money. And the one thing I always hear is this question is, why do preachers always talk about money in church? And I'd just like to go ahead and say and ask back, why do people always lump all preachers together? I just like to say that, okay? Because I like to go on the record to say the last time I did a series on money was October 2014, which does not equal always. That's not always, folks, all right? And so this is just going to be a 2-week series, which is a drastic change since the first time I did a series. The first time I did a series on money was in 2012. And you want to know how long it was? 7 weeks, right? 7 weeks long, okay? We're only going to do 2, okay? It's going to be nice, short, and sweet. You're going to love it, okay? It's going to be short and sweet. So, this preacher doesn't always talk about money, all right? But in complete honesty, I probably should talk about it more than I do. All right, I should probably talk about it more than I do, because I remember the very first time I walked up here in 2012, and I did my very first series on giving, was the most stressful day walking to the pulpit. I was more anxious about that day than I was the very first time I preached. Like, I wanted to throw up. All right, the first day I preached, the first sermon I ever preached in church here, I wasn't that nervous. I was nervous, but I wasn't like throw up nervous. Money? Yeah, I was throw up nervous. Why? Because I know everybody hates it when preachers talk about money. I know people hate it. It's one of those things. You're like, this is the most taboo, off-topic, sermons you could ever talk about. This topic is the most taboo topic ever. I mean, it's more taboo than politics. It's more taboo than sex. It spells sex, all right? So, it's more like, people are like, we would rather talk about those two things than money. Like, don't tell me what to do with my money. We don't talk about money in church. So you'd rather do that. Well, like I said, the very first time I was up here in 2012, I remember I was super anxious, super nervous. And I walked up here and I anxiously stood here, and the very first thing I said, I know exactly what I wrote down. I wrote it down in my notes. I'm going to say this right here. It was the worst line ever to start a sermon. I go like this. I go, all right, let's talk about money, all right? I'm super nervous. I say that, and no lie, which is the worst way to start a money series off, okay, trust me. No lie, back row, man, out loud goes, oh, great, and stands up and walks out. And I was like, I just kind of stood there. I was like, oh, wow. But here's the deal. That was a moment for me. That was a moment. One, because it's extremely funny, okay? Extremely funny. I mean, it wasn't funny at the time. At the time, I was rather embarrassed. But at the time, the other moment it was for me was go, okay, this gave me confidence to talk. This was obviously why we need to talk about this. For a man to stand up, as I just said, all right, let's talk about money. For a man to stand up and walk out the door, as soon as I said that, I said, we're talking about it now. We're going there now, pal. Because here's the deal. Preachers always talk about money, but no one talked more about money than God did. No one talked more about money than God did. 16 of the 38 parables were concerned with how to handle money and possessions. In the gospel, all right, an amazing 1 out of 10 verses, that's 288 verses, has to do with the subject of money. The Bible offers 500 verses on prayers, less than 500 verses on faith, but over 2,000 verses on money and possessions. That's a lot. That is a lot. And so there is no preacher that has talked about money more than God has. And he talks so much about it because money has the potential to replace him in our lives. We have this tendency, all right? Why does God talk about money so much? I want you to write this down. Because money attempts to replace God in our lives. Money is going to attempt to replace God in our lives. So if you don't believe me, listen to what he says. Listen to what Jesus says in Matthew 6:24. Matthew 6:24. He says, no one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. All right, now stop right there. Here's the deal. In our household, two masters, all right? In our household, my youngest son, Tobias, has this crazy notion that I'm the boss of everything, okay? I don't know why he thinks that, but in our household, what? Come on, guys. Have a little faith, right? I might have out loud said I'm the boss, but whatever, you know? But he believes in our household that I am the boss. He believes it so much that I could ask him to do something, all right? Which, here's the deal. It's very easy for Toby. It's very easy for Toby because if I tell him to do something, I could tell him to do something the same exact time his mother tells him to do something. And you know what he's going to do? He's going to say, Dad's the boss. I'm going to do what Dad says. All right? And chances are he's going to say it out loud, and it'll be to his demise. It's going to be bad for him, okay? He's going to get in a lot of trouble for saying that. But that's Toby. It's very easy for Toby. What? Dad is the boss. Dad's the boss. It's very easy for him. Jonas? No. Jonas is very difficult. Jonas is very, like if I said, Jonas, take out the garbage, and at the same time Faye says, Jonas, take the dog outside, more than likely, he will start to panic and do absolutely nothing. He will do neither of them. He won't know what to do. Should I listen to Dad? Should I listen to Mom? I don't know what to do. He's going to panic. He's going to be like, your dad's really scary, but Mom feeds me. I don't know what to do. He's going to have this conflict, this internal conflict inside, and chances are he's going to do nothing, which is actually very much Jonas. He pretty much ask him to do something. You got to ask him 10 times, all right? But that's what Jesus is talking about. That's what Jesus is talking about right there. This is the conflict that he's talking about with serving two masters. He's like, it's literally impossible. You can't serve two masters. It's literally impossible. And Jesus says the two masters he's talking about, it's not the two masters aren't Justin and Faye. Two masters are God and money. The two masters are God. You cannot serve both God and money. Now, the word here for money translates into the word mammon. And the translation is a little, like, people, go back and forth on what this actually translation means and everything. But there are some scholars cite that mammon is the name of the Syrian Chaldean god of wealth and possessions. But the majority of scholars believe that this is just mammon is the personification of money. Like in the Greek is the word mammanos, and that is the exact root word of Hebrew, Latin, Aramaic, Chaldean across the board, and they all translate the exact same way: money, wealth, material possessions. And so it's the personification of money. And so what it's saying is that money is a master. Money is a master that is trying to take the place of God in our lives. And he's trying to take the place of God in our lives by trying to make promises about everything that only God can fulfill, all right? All right? Money promises everything that only God can give us. For example, right here, only God. All right? Money promises everything only God can forgive us or can give us in his identity, security, significance, happiness, joy, peace, even love. Money promises all of this. But money cannot deliver. Maybe it does for a time. Maybe it's going to do it for a time, but the truth is, you only have that until the money runs out. And when the money runs out, so does your identity, your significance, your happiness, your security, your joy, your peace, your love. So when the money runs out, so does all that. So what do we do? What do we do? See, we can't serve both of these. We can't serve God. We can't serve money. How do we serve God in a world that serves money? When everything is centered around money. How in the world do we do that? How in the world do we serve God when everything we do is centered around money? The answer is this. We turn the tables on it. We turn the tables on money. We don't serve. We're going to lose the idol. We're going to gain God, and we don't serve money, but rather we make money serve us. Better yet, we make money serve our joy. If you're taking notes, I want you to write that down as well. We make money serve your joy. Make money serve your joy. So let's go back to Matthew chapter 6, all right? Starting in verse 19. It says, do not store up for yourself treasures on earth. Right here, right now. Don't store up for treasures on earth where moth and vermin destroy or where thieves break in and steal. So that's exactly what I just said a few moments ago. That's exactly what I said just a few moments ago. When the money runs out, so does everything else. Everything else is gone. Jesus said it that way. He says the money's always going to run out here on earth. How many of you guys got kids that think the money lasts forever? Show of hands. You got kids that think, yeah, the money is going to last forever. How many of you have spouses that think the money, don't raise your hand. No, put the hands down. Okay. No, that was a horrible idea. Don't answer that. All right? Not only does the money not last, but neither does the stuff that we buy with it. Like, for example, clothes. All right? Clothes aren't going to last. Money doesn't last because the clothes don't last. You gain a little weight, what do you got to do? You got to buy new clothes. You lose a weight, what do you got to do? You got to buy new clothes. You stay the same, you wear the clothes out, you got to get new clothes, okay? That's what happens, right? That get you too? Think I might have got electrocuted. All right. Whew. My heart. I do declare. Oh. See what I say? Money topics are not very popular at all. All right. Food does not last forever either, does it? No, it does not. Why? We take money. We buy food with it because we're hungry. We eat the food. We're fine for a period of time. Then guess what? We're just going to get hungry again, which means we got to spend more money to get more food to eat more of, and we're going to be fine for a little bit. But it's this endless cycle. The money doesn't last because the food doesn't last. All right? The money doesn't last because, well, the new iPhone just came out, right? The money doesn't last because the new iPhone. And even though your phone works just fine, we're getting that new one, aren't we? All right? No, we're not. No. This is Northeast. We're good stewards with what we have. And then somebody's all like, let's cover that up right there. That's the old one. I'm not good at it. All right? And so the money doesn't last. The money doesn't last because the light bulbs don't last. The money doesn't last because your car is going to run out of gas. The money doesn't last because the cold air doesn't last. You'll be calling Donald for that, okay? The money does not last because the clean house doesn't last either, does it? No. So if your sole pursuit in life is that, then guess what? It is an empty pursuit. It is a frustrating, empty pursuit that only ends something that doesn't last. It does not last. The stark contrast, however, is this. Verse 20. But store up for yourself treasures in heaven, where moth and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So here's the deal. The treasures in heaven. Store up for yourself treasures in heaven. I believe this is talking about a number of different things. But one of the biggest things it's referring us to here, is that of generosity. Is that of generosity. And so store your treasures up. I believe Jesus is saying, store your treasures up in heaven by being generous here on earth. I want you to write that down as well. Store your treasures in heaven by being generous on earth. By being generous on earth. And here's the deal. Every single one of us here today has the ability to be generous here on earth, right now, today. Because as I stand up here looking at all of you, I am looking at the richest people in the world. Now, granted, you might disagree with me, but I'd never come unprepared for an argument. So, according to globalrichlist.com, all right? First of all, Osceola County, right here where we live, Osceola County, the average income for a family, all right? Combined income, $51,000. Now, chances are you make more than that. Maybe you make less than that. Maybe you make right in and around that, okay? But that's combined, $51,000 annual income for a household. That's the average, all right? Now, according to globalrichlist.com, all right, you're in the top 0.29% of the richest people in the world. That's pretty good, guys. Congratulations. You're rich. You're richer than, you're in the top 0.29%. Congratulations. Let's put this into perspective a little bit. Next slide here. All right. In 1 hour, that means you make $26.56. All right. As compared to the labor in Ghana that makes 0.8 cents. You make 8 cents in the same time. That's a huge difference. It's a huge difference. All right. Continue on. All right. What it would take one person, all right, 1 year for $51,000, it would take the average laborer in Zimbabwe 50 years to earn the same amount. They would earn $51,000 by the year 2068. That's insane, isn't it? You guys thirsty a little bit? You just want a soda? Here's the deal. It would take you 1 minute and 21 seconds to be able to afford a soda. Labor in Ghana, 7 hours and 12 minutes. Over 7 hours to earn the exact same thing. It's crazy different, isn't it? You're rich. Let's think about it this way. Your monthly income could pay, all right? Could pay this one right here. Could pay for over 222 doctors in Azerbaijan. Yeah. That's crazy, isn't it? So, I am looking at some of the richest people in the world. And in case you're even interested, I encourage you guys to go to that website, plug in your own income, whether it's higher or less, but the truth of the matter is, whether it is or not, you're going to come to the same conclusion. You're amongst the richest people in the world. We live in America. We are. So, here's the thing. Because we are, does that mean, because we are rich, does that mean we are happy? The answer is no. The answer is no. As a matter of fact, studies have shown that the richest people in the world are the most miserable people in the world. There are studies that have been shown that money and happiness are not positively correlated together, all right? According to the Harvard Business Reviews, they did studies on this. They say if you have a lot of money, that doesn't mean that you are happy. As a matter of fact, it tends to mean the opposite. It's scary, isn't it? Isn't that a little bit scary? And actually it says, in that same study, they said the richer people got, the less generous they became. The richer people got, the less generous they became. A study also found that when participants were given $10, there was another study that was done, participants were given $10, And they were told, you can do whatever you want with it. If you want, you can give it to somebody. You can do whatever you want. But they even suggested you could give this to somebody, or you could give some of it to somebody. They were given $10. You know what the results were? Those people, those individuals that were richer, okay, that were the rich among these in this survey, gave 44% less to others. They were 44% less generous. That's huge. That's astronomical. Than those that had proportionally less incomes. Those with proportionally less income, they were more generous and they were more willing to help other people. However, there's some studies that Notre Dame did, and you know what they came up with? They came up with some interesting things. Study found the indicators are that such as giving money, volunteering, and even just being available to friends were highly correlated with happiness. It says those were the happiest people. Those were the people that had the most joy in their life. Those were the people that had the most love in their life. Those were the people that were genuinely happy. Those that were generous, those that were giving money, those were volunteering, those were available to friends. Other studies have shown that generosity had a positive effect on happiness in 93% of 136 countries. Those are amazing facts. Those are amazing facts that we as Christians should already know. Because God had already told us this. We didn't even need to do a study. All we needed to do was look into God's word to see that truth. Proverbs 14:21. What does it say? It says, whoever despises his neighbor is a sinner, but blessed. Blessed is he who is generous to the poor. We should already know this. Proverbs 22:9 says, the generous will themselves be blessed, for they share their food with the poor. Proverbs 19:17, kindness to the poor is a loan to the Lord, and he will, what? Repay the lender. We already know all this. We should already know all this because of God's word. Acts 20, verse 35, Jesus himself said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. Kind of wasted a lot of money doing all those studies, didn't they? For something that God already knew about and as we as Christians should already know as well. You see, the generous life, and then what we learn is that the generous life is far happier than the luxurious life. Because the generous life is the one that is storing up treasures in heaven. The generous life is the one that is storing up for eternity. Not for the here and now where things will eventually run out. No. Generosity stores up treasures in heaven. And the old preacher joke is this, like you never see a U-Haul following a hearse. So the old preachers like to say that, and they're exactly right. You never do see that. Why? Because when you're gone, your stuff is gone. It's empty, it's gone. It does not last. But how you live on this earth and how you act towards others, especially in the area of generosity, does matter. It does matter. And how we give to others, how we share, how we honor other people and help those that are in need, that does matter. And that is an investment. That is an investment on our eternity. Not just our eternity, but others' eternity as well. So Jesus says, store up your treasures in heaven. And that is a call for us to be generous here. Storing up your treasures is a call for us to be generous here on earth while we are here. And so this is what I want you guys to do. As we started the discussion today, we're going to finish it next week. Here's what I want you to do. I want you guys to think about what it means for you to be generous. I want you to define generous in your own way. Whatever it means to you, how you see it, how you envision. What does it look like? What does generosity mean to you? I want you to think about that. And then I want you to think about what it means and what it looks like for you to be generous. Perhaps you already are. And honestly, I'll say this about our church. Our church is a very generous church. I'm so thankful for all that you do, and you guys are amazing. But I want you to ask that question. This is a question that Faye and I do ask ourselves. How can we be more generous? What areas do we need to grow in? How can we? What areas should we be more generous? Is it with the church? Is it with a nonprofit organization? Is it with friends or family members that we need to be more generous? How can we grow in this area? And so I ask you and I challenge you this week. I want you to define what that means to you. Think about what it means to be generous. And then think about the areas that you believe you need to grow in generosity. And then when you come back next week, we'll continue our discussion. Will you pray with me now? Lord, I love you. I thank you for all that you've done and all that you've given us. I praise you for your Son who has given every single bit of himself so that we can be with you for eternity. I thank you so much for that investment in us. And Lord, help us to honor you with everything we have. Let our worship in every area be honoring to you, especially with our worship of our tithes, with our gifts, with our generosity, whether here in church, whether outside these walls, whatever it may be. We ask that you help us, Lord, to cultivate that in our lives. We know that we are blessed. We know that there are those out there that are not in that same area. They struggle, they are hurting, they are in need, and we ask, Lord, that as we have that proper view of ourselves in you, we ask you help us to cultivate the generosity that you would have us do. Lord, we love you. We praise you. In your Son's name we pray. Amen. Will you all please stand with us now as we sing?